My wife said I need space while cheating with a colleague and spending my money in our house, so I disappeared, took assets back, and left her drowning in debt. So, a little background about me, before I dive into this clusterfuck of a story. I, 35, grew up in a middle-ass family where my dad busted his ass working 60-plus hours a week as a mechanical engineer while my mom raised us kids. They taught me two things that stuck with me: work your ass off and always keep your word. I followed their advice, put myself through college working nights at a warehouse loading trucks. Brutal shit, but it paid the bills. Got my degree in software engineering and landed a decent job at a mid-sized tech company making around $110,000. Not FA money, but solid enough to live comfortably. After 6 years of grinding and saving like a madman, I got promoted to senior developer at $145,000 and had about $210,000 split between savings and my 401k. I also paid off the modest 3-bedroom house I bought in a decent neighborhood. Nothing fancy, but it was mine, free and clear. I wasn't some Chad with models hanging off me, but I stayed in decent shape. Gym 3 to 4 times a week, had my shit together, and a small circle of solid friends. Life was stable, predictable, exactly how I fucking liked it. Then I met Sarah at a friend's barbecue. Gorgeous blonde, incredible body, bright smile, and she seemed genuinely interested in my boring-ass stories about coding and hiking. Looking back, I should have seen the red flags. She laughed too hard at my jokes, asked too many questions about my career and finances right off the bat. Always had some crisis that needed financial help. But my dick was doing the thinking, and 2 years later, we were married. That's when everything changed. After we got married, I noticed how quickly the loving wife act dropped. The first thing was her quitting her receptionist job, $38,000, 2 weeks after the wedding. "I'm just so stressed, babe. I need a break to focus on making our house perfect." That break somehow lasted 14 months. When she finally did start working again, it was part-time at a boutique where she spent more than she made. Meanwhile, my promotion to development manager, $180,000 plus stock options, meant I was working longer hours while she was, well, doing whatever the fuck she wanted with my money. The spending was insane. 400 haircuts, 2,000 purses, a goddamn $900 blender she used twice. When I'd bring up budgeting, she'd flip out about how I was financially abusing her. Classic. The moment she said, "I need space," for the third time that week, something finally fucking clicked in my head. It wasn't her words exactly, but the way her eyes never met mine when she said it, always glued to her shiny new iPhone 14 Pro Max that I paid for, obviously. The living room I'd spent $22,000 remodeling. Her choice of furniture suddenly felt suffocating as I watched her manicured fingers, $120 every 2 weeks, nervously fidgeting with her phone. Always that damn phone. For weeks, I'd been noticing the pattern. Coming home late, smelling like expensive cologne, not mine, password changes on her devices. Conversations that ended abruptly when I walked into her room. Her girls' nights were suddenly happening 3 times a week, and always required a new outfit that just had to be designer. I'm not a genius, but I'm not fucking stupid either. At first, I tried harder, right? Planned special date nights at restaurants where appetizers cost more than my dad's weekly grocery budget that she'd cancel last minute with some bullshit excuse, bought her jewelry, that she'd lose mysteriously. Each attempt just seemed to accelerate her requests for space. That night, while she was in the shower, in our $35,000 bathroom remodel she needed, I did something I swore I'd never do. One notification on her unlocked phone was all it took. A message from Mike from marketing that read, "Can't wait to see you tomorrow at the W Hotel. Rooms booked under my name. He still doesn't suspect anything. Bring that lingerie I bought you. Mike from marketing." My fucking colleague. The guy I'd helped get hired. The guy who made $25,000 less than me but drove a leased BMW to impress women exactly like my wife. I put the phone back exactly where it was, walked to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of water, and waited, trying to keep myself from flipping every fucking table in the house. I needed to be smart here, not emotional. When she came out in her bathrobe, some silk thing that cost more than my first car, hair still wet, I simply asked, "Who's waiting to see you tomorrow at the W Hotel?" The color literally drained from her face before anger quickly replaced it. "You went through my phone. This is exactly why I need space. You're suffocating me," I laughed. Definitely not the reaction she expected from the pushover she thought she'd married. "Interesting. I'm suffocating you by discovering you're cheating with Mike. That's a new one." "It's not what you think," she stammered, reaching for excuses. "We're just colleagues working on a project. You're being paranoid and controlling. Colleagues don't book hotel rooms and buy lingerie. Colleagues don't plan behind my back." I took another sip of water, feeling weirdly calm. "How long?" There's nothing to tell. Her voice went high and defensive, that same tone she used when I'd question a random $500 credit card charge. This is why I can't talk to you anymore. You twist everything and make me feel bad about myself. I stood up, towering over her. How fucking long? The truth finally spilled out then. 3 months. My so-called friend from work, their little rendezvous during her girls' nights and work meetings. All financed by me, of course. The lingerie I thought she was buying to spice up our relationship. For him. The spa weekends with the girls. With him in hotels I was paying for. I was going to tell you, she pleaded, tears starting to flow perfectly without ruining her expensive mascara, a skill I'd seen before when she wanted a new car. I've been confused. That's why I needed space to figure things out. Bullshit, my voice remained level, even as rage built inside me. You needed space to cheat without guilt. You needed space from the consequences. What you really needed was my paycheck without my presence. Rather than exploding or begging, which is what she probably expected, I just walked to our bedroom, the one with the $8,000 mattress she needed for her back, and pulled out my suitcase. Her expression changed instantly from defiance to panic. What are you doing? You can't leave. We need to talk about this. Don't you dare walk out that door. You want to talk? Funny how that works when you're caught. I packed methodically, selecting only what I needed for a few days. The designer clothes she'd insisted on buying me could stay. I never wanted that pretentious shit anyway. You're overreacting. It was just messages and maybe a few meetings for coffee. Nothing physical happened. Her lies were so transparent I almost laughed again. Coffee at the W Hotel? Sure, really. So I guess bring the lingerie I bought you was for a fashion show at Starbucks. Her face flushed red. You're taking that out of context. This is why I need someone who understands me. You're so fucking controlling. I zipped the suitcase and looked directly into her eyes. You wanted space. I'm giving you exactly what you asked for. Enjoy all 3,200 feet of it. As I headed for the door, she cycled through her manipulation playbook. First came the tears, on command, impressive. Then threats, I'll tell everyone you abused me. Then desperate promises, I'll never see him again, we can go to counseling. I stopped at the threshold and turned. You know what the difference is between us? When I say something, I mean it. When you wanted space, you really wanted attention from someone else while keeping my credit cards. Well, I'm nobody's fucking ATM with a pulse. You can't just leave. What about the mortgage payment due next week? And the landscapers are coming tomorrow. Who's going to pay for that? Her voice hit that shrill pitch that always gave me a headache. The door closed behind me with a satisfying finality. My phone immediately buzzed with her calls and messages, which I silently blocked. She wanted to be left alone to cheat. So I'd give her exactly that, alone. Completely fucking alone. Driving away in my sensible Toyota that she always complained was embarrassing compared to her leased Mercedes SUV, I felt no urge to look back. This wasn't surrender. This was the first strategic move in a game she didn't even realize we were playing yet. The hotel room cost me $89 with my corporate discount, but felt like a goddamn palace. No walking on eggshells. No checking for signs of deception. No listening to her bullshit about how her friend Jessica's husband bought her a vacation house. Just silence. My backup phone, the one she didn't know about, showed she'd racked up 47 missed calls and 39 messages in under 3 hours on my regular number. I scrolled through them without opening a single one. The progression was predictable: anger, you're a fucking coward. Blame, this happened because you work too much. Guilt, after everything I've done for you. Threats, I'll take everything you have. And finally, desperate pleas, baby please, I'm dying without you. Morning brought clarity and the most peaceful breakfast I'd had in 2 years. This wasn't a temporary separation to make her miss me. This was my exit strategy beginning. I contacted a lawyer before 9 a.m. and scheduled a meeting for that afternoon. Not the big flashy firm she would expect, but a ruthless female attorney who specialized in taking down gold diggers. Knowledge is power, and I needed every advantage. At work, I quietly redirected my next 3 paychecks to a new private account. I then transferred 75% of our joint savings to my untouchable pre-marriage account. Money I'd earned and saved before our wedding. Legal, fair, and absolutely necessary. Then I called my oldest friend Steve, the only one not impressed by Sarah's fake tits and faker personality. Stay at my place as long as you need, he offered immediately after hearing the situation. But what's your actual plan? To give her exactly what she claimed to want, I replied, a strange calm settling over me. Complete space, permanent space, and to take back everything else. That evening, my lawyer laid out my options. Veronica was perfect, a shark in a pantsuit who specialized in protecting men from gold diggers. She'd seen it all and wasn't impressed by any of it. Most guys in your position panic and make costly mistakes, she said, reviewing the financial records I'd brought. But with these records, the text evidence, and your separate property documentation, we can protect almost everything. The house is completely yours. Yes, paid off before the marriage. I have all the paperwork and you kept your premarital assets separate. Separate accounts for everything I had before we met. She nodded appreciatively. Smart man, not my typical client. Most men think with the wrong head and commingle everything. We spent 2 hours mapping out a strategy. Unlike most guys, I had receipts for everything. I'd kept meticulous financial records my entire adult life, a habit from watching my dad struggle when I was a kid. My spreadsheets were a divorce lawyer's dream. When I left Veronica's office, I had a clear battle plan and felt in control for the first time in months. That control was tested the very next day when Sarah ambushed me in the company parking lot. Oversized designer sunglasses failing to hide her puffy eyes. She'd clearly been crying or pretending to for maximum sympathy effect. You can't just disappear, she screeched, blocking my car door. We need to talk. You're not answering any of my calls or texts. Several CO workers slowed their pace, pretending not to watch the drama unfolding. Great, just what I needed. There's nothing to discuss, I responded evenly. You made your choices. It was one mistake, she sobbed, the waterworks starting on cue. 3 months of fucking my colleague isn't one mistake, I replied, keeping my voice low but firm. It's a lifestyle choice. I'll end it completely. I swear it didn't mean anything. Her hand reached for my arm, those manicured nails digging in slightly. If betraying our marriage didn't mean anything, that's worse. You destroyed everything for something meaningless. I removed her hand from my arm. And if it didn't mean anything, why'd you do it for 3 months? Please, she begged, full-on ugly crying now. Just come home, I'll do anything. That's the problem. You already did anything with Mike, and now you're only sorry because the gravy train might stop. Her face changed instantly. Rage replacing the tears like someone flipped a switch. Fascinating to watch, honestly. Is this about your ego? She snapped. Everyone deserves forgiveness. Everyone makes mistakes. This isn't your second chance, it's your 100th. Every lie was a chance to choose differently. Every time you changed your phone password, every girl's night that wasn't. Every time you gaslit me when I asked questions. You're throwing away 2 years over this? Her voice cracked perfectly. What about our future? The family we planned? The family you postponed because a baby would ruin your body? I countered. Or the future where I work while you spend? I gently moved past her toward my car. It's over. I've already filed. She switched tactics instantly, voice hardening. You think you can just leave? My name's on the house too, and I will get half of everything. My sister's husband is a lawyer. Your name isn't on the house, I corrected her. Check the paperwork, and your brother-in-law handles DUIs, not divorces. Her face contorted with shock. She'd clearly never bothered to read what she'd signed. That's impossible. You tricked me. No, you just didn't pay attention to anything that didn't have a designer label. This isn't over, she hissed as I got into my car. You'll regret this. I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of man you really are. As I drove away, my phone exploded with calls from her friends and family. According to them, I was controlling, abusive, and probably gay since no straight man would leave someone as hot as Sarah. I blocked them all, one by one. Her narrative was starting, but I didn't have to listen to it. Back at Steve's apartment, I filled him in on everything. He just shook his head. Dude, I never liked her, but even I didn't see this coming. What's your next move? I'm going to be smarter than she thinks I am. I moved quickly and methodically, like debugging complex code. Within days, I'd canceled all joint credit cards, changed passwords on every account, and documented every asset. The movers came while she was having a mental health day at the spa on her new emergency credit card. I took only what was demonstrably mine, which, according to my meticulous pre-marriage inventory, was most of the valuable stuff. The look on Steve's face when the movers brought in my computer setup, home gym equipment, and collection of rare comics was priceless. Dude, did you leave her anything? The furniture she picked out, the art she insisted on, the kitchen stuff she never uses, and her clothes, obviously. When she came home to half-empty rooms, all hell broke loose. The voicemails were epic. You fucking coward. You took the good TV and the sound system. How am I supposed to live? Her voice echoed with indignation and disbelief. Then an hour later, baby, I'm sorry, she yelled. Please come home, we can work this out. I made a mistake, I miss you so much. The sudden sweet voice was almost comical. Then at 3:00 a.m., if you don't bring back my things, I'm calling the police. My father's golf buddy is the chief. Back to threats when the sugar didn't work. The manipulation was textbook. Rage, guilt, threats, fake sweetness, repeat. My silence was more powerful than any response. She tried raiding our joint account, but I'd left exactly $1,000 there, enough that she couldn't claim financial abandonment. When she tried charging $12,000 on our Amazon account for a revenge splurge, she discovered it closed. Her new credit card maxed out in 3 days. My lawyer sent a crystal-clear message. Any destruction of property or false accusations would result in immediate legal consequences. When Sarah tried claiming I'd stolen from her, we responded with an itemized list of everything I took with receipts and photos proving pre-marriage ownership. She's getting desperate, Veronica told me during our follow-up meeting. That's when people make mistakes. Be careful, but stay the course. Her next move? Showing up at my office happy hour, dressed to kill and putting on a show. She waltzed into the brewery where our team was celebrating a product launch, wearing a dress that probably cost 2 weeks of her old salary. Is this how a real man handles problems, running away? She demanded loudly as she approached our table. 2 years together and you throw it away without even fighting for us. The entire team went silent. Even my boss looked uncomfortable. I remained seated, voice level. Please leave before security is called. You won't even stand up. Look at you, hiding behind your coworkers while our marriage dies. Her voice was getting louder, designed to create maximum embarrassment. Our marriage died when you started fucking Mike from marketing. This is just the funeral. Gasps from around the table. Mike had called in sick that day, coincidentally, her face contorted with rage. You think you're so perfect. You weren't exactly husband of the year. Always working, never listening, treating me like an afterthought. I smiled slightly. Interesting revision of history. Was I working when you were sending intimate messages to my colleague? Was I not listening when you were lying about your whereabouts? Several colleagues had stopped pretending not to watch. Her audience wasn't providing the sympathy she'd obviously expected. This is private, she hissed, suddenly aware of the onlookers. You made it public by coming here, I pointed out, just like you made your infidelity a public issue when you conducted it in restaurants and hotels where we know people. The color drained from her face. What are you talking about? The reservation confirmation from the W Hotel sent to your email, which is still linked to our shared cloud account, the one for the room you claimed you never visited. She hadn't expected receipts, physical evidence. Her shock was visible. That's invasion of privacy, she stammered, grasping for moral high ground. No, that's me protecting my sexual health after discovering my wife's infidelity. My calm was unnerving her. The doctor appreciated having dates to work with for the STD panel. I hadn't actually gotten tested yet, but the implication landed like a bomb, gasps from nearby tables. Her public humiliation was complete. You're trying to destroy me, she whispered, tears forming. No, I'm simply no longer protecting you from the consequences of your actions. A security guard approached, summoned discreetly by my boss. She made one last desperate attempt. I'm pregnant, she blurted out. It's yours. That's what I've been trying to tell you. The room went silent. I didn't flinch. Interesting timing. The pregnancy test in our bathroom trash was negative just before I left. Unless you're claiming immaculate conception in the last 10 days, we both know that's a lie. Security reached us. Ma'am, you need to come with us. As they escorted her out, her final words echoed, You'll regret this. No one else will ever love you like I did. I returned to my drink, aware of the stares, but unconcerned. My director stopped by our table after security had removed her. That took guts, he said quietly. Most men would have either caused a scene or slunk away embarrassed. Dignity isn't what you lose in betrayal, I replied. It's what you maintain in response. The next day I was called into the VP's office. Great, I thought. Here comes the HR talk about keeping personal drama out of the workplace. Instead, the VP closed the door and said, I heard what happened yesterday. For what it's worth, Mike submitted his resignation this morning. I didn't ask for that. You didn't have to. He violated company policy by dating within his reporting chain. You were his team lead. The VP slid a folder across the desk. This is also for you. Inside was paperwork for a lateral move to a different division, one where I'd work directly with our biggest clients and have more visibility with executive leadership. Consider it a fresh start, the VP said. Your work has always been excellent, and we'd rather not lose you because of unfortunate personal circumstances. As I left his office, I realized something important. People respect how you handle adversity more than they respect success. 3 weeks into our separation, my lawyer called with news. Sarah was demanding mediation instead of proceeding with the divorce. A last desperate attempt to regain control, but her leverage was gone, her manipulation tactics exposed. Tell her she can have the space she wanted, I instructed Veronica, all of it permanently. The mediation date arrived faster than expected. I entered the conference room in Veronica's office building to find Sarah already seated, wearing a conservative dress I'd never seen before, and a perfectly rehearsed expression, a mixture of contrition and quiet strength. The act was impressive but transparent. Her lawyer, a middle-aged man with an expensive suit and nervous energy, whispered something in her ear as I took my seat opposite them. Before we begin, her lawyer started, adjusting his tie. My client wants to express that she's open to reconciliation rather than divorce. She believes this marriage is worth saving. Veronica and I exchanged a brief glance. We had anticipated this exact move. We're here to discuss division of assets, Veronica responded clinically. Not reconciliation. Sarah's carefully crafted composure cracked slightly. Can't we at least talk directly without the lawyers? Absolutely not, I replied without hesitation. You won't even give me 5 minutes? Her voice quivered perfectly, practiced vulnerability. After 2 years together? 2 years together, 3 months of betrayal, and now 4 weeks of harassment, I corrected. No, I won't give you 5 minutes. The mediator, a middle-aged woman with decades of experience etched into her face, intervened. Let's focus on why we're here, the division of assets. What followed was clinical, efficient, and completely devoid of the drama Sarah clearly craved. I accepted slightly less than my fair share of our joint possessions, a calculated decision that would pay dividends in expediting the process. The mediator seemed surprised by my reasonableness, which only highlighted Sarah's increasingly unreasonable demands. When we took a brief recess, she cornered me in the hallway. This is really happening. You're going through with it? Her eyes searched mine for any weakness, any opening. Over one mistake? Multiple mistakes, I corrected. Deliberate, repeated choices. I've changed, she insisted. This whole thing has shown me what really matters. I was taking you for granted. No, you were betraying me while expecting me to remain loyal. There's a difference. Her voice lowered, intimate. Remember our anniversary in Hawaii? The plans we made for the future? Are you really throwing all that away? I'm not throwing anything away, I countered. I'm responding to what you already discarded. Her eyes narrowed slightly. I never wanted a divorce. That's all you. Interesting perspective. What exactly did you expect would happen when you betrayed your husband? A promotion? Her lawyer called her name from down the hall, ending our conversation. As we returned to the mediation room, I noticed something odd. A missed call from her mother, then another, then several text messages in rapid succession. Something had shifted. The answer came halfway through the afternoon session when her phone repeatedly vibrated. She checked it discreetly, and her face went pale. She whispered urgently to her lawyer, who called for another recess. When we reconvened 15 minutes later, her demeanor had completely changed. Gone was the contrition, replaced by barely contained fury. You contacted my parents, she accused, voice trembling. You sent them proof? The mediator looked confused. I remained calm. I did no such thing, I replied truthfully. Then how do they know? My mother just sent me screenshots of hotel receipts. Her lawyer intervened. My client has maintained appropriate confidentiality throughout these proceedings. The truth dawned on me then. Let me guess. Your partner in infidelity has been speaking to people, perhaps feeling guilty or trying to clear his conscience. Her silence confirmed my suspicion. Or perhaps, I continued, someone at my workplace who witnessed your public outburst shared the story. Actions have audiences, remember? You've destroyed my reputation, she whispered. Your actions destroyed your reputation, I corrected. I simply didn't help you hide them. By the end of the day, preliminary agreements were signed, heavily favoring my terms, simply because I remained rational while she crumbled under the weight of her own deceptions. The divorce would be finalized in 6 weeks, record time by our state standards. As we left the building, her final attempt at manipulation awaited. Her parents stood by her car, their expressions a mixture of disappointment and misplaced hope. We think you two need to talk this through, her father began awkwardly. Marriage is sacred and with proper counseling. With all due respect, I interrupted, this is between your daughter and me. She made a mistake, her mother pleaded. Everyone deserves forgiveness. I looked at them calmly. Did she tell you it was ongoing for 3 months? Did she mention the lies, the gaslighting, the attempts to make me question my own sanity when I suspected something was wrong? Their uncomfortable expressions answered my question. I appreciate your concern, I continued. But my decision is final. Her father's tone hardened. Son, sometimes being a man means fighting for your marriage, not running from problems. The comment was designed to question my masculinity, to shame me back into line. I smiled slightly. Being a man means having standards and enforcing boundaries. It means not accepting disrespect simply to maintain appearances. As I walked away, Sarah's voice called out one last time. This isn't over. You think you're punishing me, but you're only hurting yourself. No one else will ever love you like I did. I turned back briefly. That's the point. I don't want anyone who understands me the way you did by exploiting my trust and manipulating my loyalty. That evening, mutual friends began taking sides. Messages arrived expressing disappointment in my unwillingness to work things out. Others offered quiet support. The social fallout was beginning, exactly as anticipated. I responded to none of them. Instead, I finalized plans for a 2-week work trip that would take me to our Seattle office. Perfect timing to be completely unreachable during the final divorce proceedings. While she scrambled to manage her crumbling social standing, I was already building the foundation of my new life. The chess game was approaching checkmate. Each of her desperate moves had been countered with calculated precision. The queen, who thought herself untouchable, was now cornered with precious few moves remaining. 6 months after giving her space, my life had transformed dramatically. The divorce had finalized without a hitch, thanks to irrefutable evidence and my lawyer's ruthless efficiency. The lateral move at work quickly turned into a genuine promotion to project lead with a team of 8 developers under me and a salary bump to $210,000. I'd moved into a modern apartment downtown, smaller than our house, but with an incredible view of the city skyline and within walking distance to everything I actually enjoyed. No more wasted space filled with furniture I didn't like. My finances had recovered completely, and I was back to my aggressive saving strategy. The therapist I started seeing helped me work through the betrayal and recognize the subtle ways Sarah had manipulated me throughout our relationship. "It wasn't your fault," Dr. Chen told me during one session. "Manipulators pick partners who are loyal and trusting. Your best qualities were weaponized against you." I started dating again, casually at first. Nothing serious, just coffee or dinner with interesting women who had their own careers and ambitions. No drama, no games, just authentic conversations and clear expectations. Meanwhile, Sarah's life had taken the opposite trajectory. Without my income, she couldn't maintain her lifestyle. Her friends disappeared when she couldn't fund brunches and shopping trips. Mike from marketing hadn't wanted a relationship, just the thrill of sleeping with his team's hot wife. He'd moved to another state after the scandal broke. She'd been forced to get a real job, customer service at a call center, making $16 an hour. The leased Mercedes was gone, replaced by a used Honda Civic. The credit card debt she'd accumulated trying to maintain appearances had started catching up with her. I maintained zero contact, despite her increasingly pathetic attempts to reach me. First through mutual friends, tell him I've changed. Then through fake social media accounts. And finally through my family members. My mother, who had never particularly liked Sarah, took great pleasure in blocking her number. She called me crying about how much she misses you, Mom told me during our weekly call. I told her she should have thought about that before she started sleeping around. My dad, a man of few words, simply said, "You dodged a bullet, son." 2 years after giving her space, my life was unrecognizable from my married days. The career moves I'd made paid off beyond my wildest expectations. I'd been recruited by a competitor for a director of development position with a $285,000 base salary, plus a significant signing bonus and stock options. I'd saved enough to buy a downtown penthouse with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city and a private rooftop deck. It cost more than our entire former house, but represented something priceless: freedom from financial manipulation. Physically, I was in the best shape of my life. 6 days weekly at the gym with a personal trainer had transformed my dad bod into something that turned heads. My wardrobe now consisted of tailored clothes that actually fit instead of the boxy stuff Sarah said was good enough. I even got my teeth fixed with invisible braces and professional whitening. But the best investment, the therapist who helped me understand I wasn't just a walking wallet. Meanwhile, my informants, and you'd be surprised how many mutual friends secretly hated her, kept me updated on Sarah's spectacular downfall. After the divorce, where my lawyer demolished her, things went from bad to catastrophic. She had to get a second job waitressing on weekends to make ends meet. Her credit score had plummeted to the low 500s. She was evicted from our house, which I legally owned outright pre-marriage, when I sold it. She moved into a studio apartment in the sketchy part of town. Her fake friends completely abandoned her once she couldn't fund their girls' trips. She'd gained significant weight and stopped maintaining the expensive looks she'd once prioritized. I maintained absolute zero contact. She even created fake LinkedIn profiles to try to message me at work, which my assistant filtered out immediately. Then came the message that made my year. A mutual acquaintance forwarded me a direct message from Sarah. "I'm in serious trouble. I owe $43,000 in credit card debt, and they're threatening to garnish my wages. I have nowhere else to turn. Could you ask if he would help me just this once? I'm desperate." I laughed so hard I nearly choked on my water. 2 nights later, my phone rang from an unknown number at 1:00 a.m. Against my better judgment, I answered. "Hello?" Her voice was raspy. Clearly, she'd been crying. "Who is this?" I asked, knowing damn well who it was. "It's me," she sobbed. "I know I'm the last person you want to hear from." "You're right about that." My voice was ice. "Please don't hang up. I'm in trouble. Serious trouble." The desperation in her voice was palpable. "I've lost everything." "Sounds like a personal problem," I replied, enjoying this more than I should have. "The bank is taking my car tomorrow. I can't pay rent this month. I might be homeless. I just need a small loan, like $10,000. I'll pay you back, I swear." I almost hung up, but curiosity got the better of me. How exactly did you lose everything? What followed was a pathetic tale of maxed credit cards, payday loans, and failed attempts to keep up her previous lifestyle. How she'd been fired from her call center job for being consistently late. How she'd tried to date a doctor who used her and dumped her. How her parents refused to help anymore. So let me get this straight, I said when she finally stopped rambling. You cheated on me, tried to take half of everything I'd worked for, called me controlling and emotionally abusive to anyone who would listen. And now you want me to bail you out? I know I don't deserve it, she whimpered, but I have nowhere else to turn. Just this once, please, for what we used to have. What did we used to have exactly, I asked. A marriage where you fucked my colleague while spending my money. Silence on the line, then more sobbing. Tell you what, I said, an idea forming. Let's meet tomorrow. Coffee shop on 5th, 10 o'clock a.m. Don't be late. I hung up before she could respond. The next morning, I arrived early and watched her scurry in through the window. Gone were the designer clothes and perfect hair. She looked completely different. Cheap clothes, unwashed hair, dark circles under her eyes. She'd aged a decade in 2 years. When she spotted me, her face lit up with pathetic hope. I gestured to the chair across from me. On the table sat a manila envelope. Thank you for meeting me, she said, eyes fixed on the envelope. I don't know what to say. Then don't say anything, I replied. Just listen. I pushed the envelope toward her. She opened it with trembling hands, clearly expecting a check. Instead, she pulled out photos, dozens of them, her and Mike in various hotel lobbies, screenshots of text messages to her friends mocking me, calling me her oblivious ATM, bank statements showing her secret account where she'd been siphoning money. What? What is this? She whispered, color draining from her face. This is everything my private investigator gathered during our marriage. Everything I had when I left you, everything I could have used to humiliate you completely during our divorce but chose not to. Her hands shook as she shuffled through the evidence of her betrayal. But why are you showing me this now? I leaned forward. Because I want you to understand something. I knew everything, not just about Mike, about Jason too and Chris. I knew about the money you stole. I knew about the lies you told my family. I knew it all. Her face crumpled. Please, I made terrible mistakes. Yes, you did. And now you're facing the consequences. I stood up. That's how life works. Actions have consequences. So you brought me here just to humiliate me? Tears streamed down her face. No, I brought you here to show you that every single thing happening to you right now, you earned it. I reached into my pocket and pulled out a check. Her eyes widened. This is $5,000, I said, placing it on the table. Not because you deserve it, not because I owe you anything, but because I'm not the monster you've made me out to be in your head. She reached for the check with shaking hands. This comes with conditions, I continued. First, this is the last time we ever speak or interact in any way. Second, you use this for first and last month's rent on a decent apartment and to get your car fixed, not for shopping or appearances. Third, you get therapy and a financial advisor. Thank you, she whispered, tears flowing freely now. I don't deserve this. No, you don't, I agreed. But unlike you, I actually meant my vows when I said them, even the for worse part. As I walked away, she called after me one last time. I really did love you, in my own way. I turned back and offered the only honest response. Your way of loving was the problem. It was always conditional, always about what I could provide. That's not love. That's a transaction. 3 months later, Steve texted me. Saw your ex today. She's working at that coffee place near my office. Looks like she's got her shit somewhat together. No more designer clothes, but clean and sober. Didn't talk to her, though. Good for her, I replied while watching the sunset from my rooftop with my new girlfriend, a pediatric surgeon who made almost as much as I did and actually paid for dinner half the time. You ever regret how things ended? She asked, noticing my momentary distraction. Not for a second, I replied honestly. Some lessons cost more than others. Hers was expensive but necessary. Later that night, as my girlfriend slept beside me, I realized the most important truth of all. The ultimate revenge wasn't taking everything from Sarah. It wasn't even seeing her suffer. It was simply removing myself completely and letting her self-destructive choices play out naturally. I gave her exactly what she asked for, space from me and my resources. Turns out that was the cruelest punishment I could have inflicted because it forced her to face herself. Life's a bitch when you've been one yourself. Some people spend their entire lives taking what others build.